Today we will study about the vectors used in genetic engineering. So genetic engineering in turn is the modification or manipulation of the genome of an organism so that it gets a new character. So usually what involves in genetic engineering is the transfer of a gene from a particular species to the cells of another species. So the gene which is used for transfer can be called as the foreign gene, and the cell into which this new gene is transferred is called as the host cell. And for this process, this foreign gene is to be linked to another DNA molecule which can be used as a vehicle which will carry this foreign DNA or the DNA insert into the host cell. And inside the host cell, sitting within this vehicle DNA, our foreign DNA will replicate or it will express itself to produce the desired protein product. So that DNA molecule which is used as a vehicle to carry foreign DNA into the host cell is called as a cloning vector. And what we expect from the cloning vector? This cloning vector contains our foreign DNA, and we want the foreign DNA to replicate, produce copies of itself inside the host cell. And along with that, in advanced cases, we will also want this foreign gene to express itself and produce its protein product inside the host cell. For all these requirements, it has to be part of a DNA which has got the ability to replicate. Because if only the foreign gene is transferred, it will not be having the property for replicating by itself. That is why we link it to a vehicle or a vector. So the vector has the ability to replicate inside the host cell. Maybe it is a bacterial cell or a yeast cell, and produce many copies of itself along with the foreign DNA it contains. So that is what is called as a vector. And when we link the vector to the foreign DNA in a transferable form into the host cell, then that DNA is called as recombinant DNA. So we can say that the vector DNA with the foreign DNA is called as recombinant DNA. Now, for a DNA molecule to be used as a cloning vector, it should have certain properties. Vector molecule should be a small size so that it is compatible to the techniques of DNA isolation, and we should be able to handle it, and it should also be capable of transmembrane transport. If it is smaller, transmembrane transport into the host cell, that is, it has to traverse the membrane of the host cell. So for all these requirements, a small size is a criterion. Second one is, that is the most important property of a vector, because we are linking our foreign DNA to the vector. And what we want is that our foreign DNA should replicate or make copies of itself inside the host cell. But a gene fragment which is or a DNA fragment which is carrying our gene may not have the ability to replicate by itself. So it should be part of something which has the ability to replicate. So what we want with a cloning vector is its autonomous replication ability. That means it should be able to replicate itself without depending upon the replication of the host DNA, because the host cell have its own genome. It will replicate at a particular time, maybe just before cell division. But our vector is actually like our vector with the foreign DNA is actually like a guest inside this host cell, and its replication should be independent of the replication of the host DNA. So that is the second property. Now the third one, that is the presence of ori. This is very much connected to the previous property that has been mentioned. That is, ori is a sequence present in the genome of any species, even if it is a bacterium or if it is a higher organism. Ori is that part of the genome, or it is that sequence in genome which will initiate replication. So it is also called as the origin of replication. So a molecule which we use as a vector should have an ori of itself whose working is independent of the working of the host cell ori. That means it should have the ability to replicate. Now, the fourth property. Fourth property is the presence of restriction sites. So, restriction enzymes are those scissors which we use for specifically cutting parts of DNA. And the property of a vector is that it should be able to carry your foreign DNA with it. So for that, we should have the cut foreign DNA as well as a cut vector, then only we can join them. So a vector should have regions in which restriction enzymes can come and cut. So that is what is called as unique restriction site, because it is already known that restriction enzymes can cut DNA molecules at regions where they have their recognition sequences. Usually those recognition sequences will be palindromic sequences. So a vector will be ideal if it is having restriction sites for specific restriction enzymes. So that is another feature which is required by a vector. So then only we will be able to cut the vector using the restriction enzyme, and then only we will be able to link it with the foreign DNA. And the fifth property is the absence of cutting sites in the replicon. What is replicon? Replicon is that region which is present in the vector that contains the ORI. So there should be no cutting site for restriction enzymes in the replicon, because it will be cut and maybe the sequence of the ORI will be interrupted. Suppose the vector is cut at the region of the ORI, or if the vector is cut at the replicon, the foreign DNA may get integrated into that region. So the entire property, the entire autonomous replication property of the vector will be lost. So that is why it is insisted that there shouldn't be cutting sites in the replicon region which contains the ORI. And the next property a vector should have is that it should be easily transformable into host cells. That is, a transformation is a property with which the foreign DNA integrated with the vector is inserted into the host cell. So the host cell will be having a number of barriers, and the most important barrier will be the plasma membrane. The vector along with the foreign DNA has to traverse the plasma membrane or cell wall of the host cell to get into it. So once the host cells take up the vector, we call it as transformation, and the vector should be in such a way that it allows easy transformation into the host cells. Next, there should be marker genes. What are marker genes? That is, the entire process is multi-stepped, and our final aim is that the foreign DNA should enter into the host cell along with the vector. In many steps, 100% efficiency cannot be obtained. That is, if suppose we mix the cut foreign DNA with the vector and allow them to join with the help of ligase, there will be many vectors which will rejoin even without taking up the foreign DNA. So these vectors, they will rejoin without taking up the foreign DNA, and they will get into the host cells. So such host cells are of no use to us, because the host cells have taken up the vector, but the vector is not containing the foreign DNA. And in some cases, there are steps by which we allow the vector DNA to enter into the host cell. So that step is called transformation, and that step is also not 100% efficient. There will be many host cells which do not take up this DNA from outside. So such cells are also of no use to us. So those cells which do not take up DNA from outside, that means those cells which do not take up the vector DNA, are called non-transformed cells. We don't need them. There will be some cells which have taken up the vector, but the vector may not be having foreign DNA inserted within it. So those cells are also of no use to us. So non-transformant cells are those which haven't taken up any DNA from outside, and non-recombinant cells are those which have taken up the vector DNA but not with the foreign gene. But our aim is that the host cell should have the foreign gene inside it, which is integrated with the vector, and the foreign gene should replicate inside the host cell while being within the vector. So only such cells we want. So we want to screen before going to the culture of cells. Otherwise, what will happen? Some of the cells will be, or many of the cells will be non-transformants, many of the cells will be non-recombinants. we want only recombinant cells. So in our sample, there will be non-transformant cells, non-recombinant cells and recombinant cells. We only want the recombinant cells to grow. We only want to take them into culture. So how can we screen them? This screening can be done with the help of certain genes which are integrated within the vector. They are called as marker genes. An example for a marker gene is antibiotic resistance gene. Antibiotic resistance gene is a gene whose presence will give the host cell resistance to certain antibiotics. So, by putting that particular antibiotic in the medium and by looking at the response of the host cell in that medium, we can check whether the host cell is carrying the vector or the foreign gene like that. So, that is why we use marker genes. And these marker genes are part of a vector because they are like flags which will help us to allow which will help us to identify those cells which contain foreign DNA, and they will help us to eliminate the non-transformants and non-recombinant cells. So they are very important genes which should be there in a vector. Another thing is the vector should have relaxed mode of replication. What is meant by relaxed mode of replication? That is, usually the host cell will have a genome of itself. So the genome will be replicating just before cell division. So usually the cell will be maintaining only one copy of its genome. But we are adding the plasmid, or we are adding the vector as an additional DNA into the host cell. And in this vector we have hidden our foreign DNA also. What we want is we should get enough copies of a foreign DNA. So the vector should replicate inside the host cell and produce many copies of it, irrespective of the division of the host cell. The vector shouldn't wait for the genome of the host cell to replicate. It should have its own replication ability and it should be able to produce many copies because our aim is cloning of our gene. That is, our aim is to make multiple copies of our gene. So for that, the vector should be able to replicate in a relaxed way. That means in a lenient way. It should be able to make many copies of itself inside the host cell, even if the host cell genome is maintained only in one copy. Then, another thing is, the most important property is that the vector should be able to integrate the inserted DNA into it, and it should be able to allow the integrated DNA to replicate inside the host cell. Now, the last thing is, that is not necessary for all vectors. It depends upon the aim of our experiment. Suppose we are inserting our foreign gene into a host cell. Suppose we want to make only copies of the foreign gene. Then the properties which we discussed so far will be enough. But suppose we want the expression of the foreign gene to take place inside the host cell. Suppose we are inserting the human insulin gene into the bacterial host cell. We want the human gene to produce insulin inside the bacterial cell, then that is what is called as gene expression. We want the foreign DNA to express inside the host cell. So for that, the machinery required for expression of the foreign gene in the host cell should also be there. That means it should have certain sequences like promoters, operators, ribosome binding cells, sites, etc. so that the foreign DNA inserted is expressed inside the host cell. So these are the various properties of a cloning vector.